There comes a time when a soldier must fight, not for greedy bankers, but for what's right. Greedy politicians selling out our land, sold out fools with an outreached hand. We're in the foxhole now. You got that right. We're in the foxhole now, ready to fight. Knowledge dumping, we see their plans. Information bombs across the land. Foxhole, foxhole, foxhole. Big pharma schemes causing death and pain. Green grift techno's just a money drain. AI surveillance plans a form of control. Big brother built from the money they stole. We're in the foxhole now, digging deep. We're in the foxhole now, no time to sleep. We're in the foxhole, foxhole,
Right on, and welcome back to the Foxhole, folks. What is today? It is the 2nd of June, 2026, and we are here with Brother Levi again, Levi Matthews, again to talk. This is the second half of the third part of a series we're doing, so I guess it's really part 4. But we are talking the Hantavirus, which is really a placeholder for the medical stuff they pull on us, war, and banking. And last week we ran a little long. The banking portion is a really big thing to peel apart, so we decided to break off, and we are finishing that up today. So this is technically the second half of our part 3. And anyway, let's welcome in Levi. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Jason, how are you tonight? How's everybody doing today?
I'm good. It's actually my birthday today, and I got to sit around and do jack squat all day long and just chill out. And I knew you had the show, so I didn't put too much stress into it. So I appreciate it.
No stress tonight. No stress tonight. It's gonna be a light show tonight. Lots of good information, but
Yeah.
I'm going to be speaking from my heart on a lot of things and talking about where we're doing with the money situation and what have you. So we'll work on that. So
And just so
glad you
people
got a
know,
chance to rest today and enjoy yourself a little bit.
yeah, it was nice. And just so people know that we will be doing one. I'm going to be going on vacay, right, to go see my grandson out in Colorado. But when I get back here in a few weeks, we are going to do another episode that's going to kind of recap everything we talked about and talk maybe about the spiritual side of it and how it all ties in together. So look forward to that, folks. If you haven't seen the first, second, or third episodes, please go back and watch those to get a full context. And then what we have today, I don't even remember where we left off last week, Levi. Do you remember? I know you got this
Yeah.
back here. So.
Last week we left off with the 1933 Emergency Banking Act by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This was because of the Great Depression and the run on the banks that was happening and the collapse of the monetary system that he declared an emergency bank holiday where the Federal Reserve at the federal, of course they're all federal, but at the headquarters in Washington, D.C., all the regional offices across the country of the Federal Reserve and all banks were closed for a period of 3 days. And during those 3 days, at the end of the third day, they wrote the act, the Emergency Banking Act. They wrote it in the morning, and they passed it in the afternoon. There was no reading the bill. There was no proofreading it. They just wrote it, passed it out of panic. And so what wound up happening was the following day, they opened up the Federal Reserve in Washington. Then on the second day, they opened up the Federal Reserve offices around the country. And then the third day, they opened up all the banks. And because of the Emergency Banking Act, and contained within that, all right, all the wages, all the wealth, all the property of every American citizen who was alive at that time, and every citizen who would be born thereafter forever, their wealth was collateralized to the Vatican and the Rothschild family as collateral for loans to infuse the United States government with cash. And 1933 began 20 years after the Federal Reserve was established by the Rothschilds. The leveraging of people through taxation, interest, fees, mortgages, credit cards eventually, student loans eventually, automobile loans, all types of financial transactions, government fines would be leveraged against the people. And it was this leveraging, okay, that has made drunken sailors look sober.
Let me
Because the
let me jump in here. I know I wasn't going to interrupt
Sure.
you today, Levi, because I got
No, you're fine.
chastised for that last week. Somebody had left a comment, and I appreciate the comment saying, "Let Levi speak more." Okay, I'll try not to interrupt too much, but
No, you're
the
fine. You're fine.
the concept you're talking about right now, you use the word collateralize, which means I'm going to loan money out based off of something somebody else owns. They're doing that again. They're pulling this right now with what's called tokenization. And when we get into the stablecoin portion, which I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse here, I know we're going to talk about that, Levi.
Yes,
but
that's
just
correct.
I want them to put a pin in this because they're repeating the playbook right now. And when they tokenize everything, and I'm talking our public lands, our water assets, our coal in the ground, our silver, our gold, everything that's in the ground
Everything.
that's mineable
Everything.
is going to be tokenized. But in this case, it's a little different because what you're talking about is they tokenize stuff to have collateral to loan money. In this case, we're tokenizing everything to pay off debt.
What
Yeah.
FDR did, and so that you folks understand this, okay? Our audience, people in our audience, I don't think that there's anybody who was alive during the Great Depression in our audience. But what FDR did was for all of us, from the time that you were born, the United States government was given an amount of money, and it's varied between 117,000 to 225,000, depending on the person, in loans, guarantees, and your wealth, your wage earning potential, your wealth, your property, your houses, everything that's in your house, everything that's on your physical property that you own, your cars, everything that you own was leveraged as collateral, which means it can be taken away from you at will. And this is where they're going. This is what we're going to be getting to. And the whole game plan through what happened in the FDR years and the years following World War II was what's called the American dream, which should be rightfully called the American lie, because people were drawn into acquiring wealth. They were drawn into acquiring assets, houses, cars, boats, okay? And it's these hard, tangible items that were leveraged. And this is why the Congress spends money and doesn't pay any attention to the constituents, because they know that the leverage is there. So they just keep borrowing more and more and more against what the American people do. And they drive you through the American lie, which they call the American dream, to acquire more and more and more material goods in your life, with houses and cars and everything else like that. It's a habitual cycle that they've got people in to try to amass more and more and more wealth. The more wealth that you have, okay, the more taxes. You pay taxes, you pay interest, you pay fees. It's a round robin cycle.
If you're wealthy and you're paying taxes, you're doing it wrong, because the wealthy generally get out of their taxes, or they get them written off somehow.
Well,
I'm actually
see,
looking at the U.S. debt clock right now. Debt per citizen, $113,979. So $114,000 basically. So when you're
I mean,
born, you're 114K in debt from the time you're born. And per taxpayer, because not everyone pays taxes, it's over $355,000, almost $356,000 per taxpayer. And this is where, if we go back to we started with we used Hantavirus as a placeholder, just the medical industry in general and the war. This is how they're doing it, and this is what they're doing is they're using these boogeymen out there. And what Levi's talking about,
Jason.
yeah, okay, I can put it up. The boogeyman they use is, pandemic scares, the annual flu. I mean, just you name it. Forced insurance, things like that. You gotta have health insurance, and nothing's free, folks. There's no free lunch. There's no free ham sandwich. It comes from somewhere, and it comes out of your pocket one way or the other. It comes out of your pocket, but it's riddled with fraud. It's a scam to get. I'm not saying that people don't get sick and people don't need health care. I'm not saying that whatsoever. People do need health care, but it'd be more affordable if you dealt with your doctor directly. And war and the virus stuff, and I'm just kind of like talking about what we talked about in the last few episodes. These are ways to funnel money forcefully out of everyone's pocket, including the unborn. As you could see by the national debt clock, you're born into per citizen over $100,000 in debt. All right, that's not including any student loans you take out or things like that. But it's all to funnel money back into this fascist type system, because it has become fascist. It really has.
The ironic thing is, if you look at this, okay, it says debt per citizen is $113,979. Debt per taxpayer, because not all citizens are taxpayers. That's another aspect of this, okay? $355,963. Now, I don't know about any of you, but I don't even own $113,979 worth of property.
Right. And it also, if you do the simple math on it, you can see that only 1/3 of people in this
It's roughly.
How do we have 3 times taxpayers than we do citizens? I don't know how that works out. Maybe it's visa workers. I'm not sure, but if you do the simple math on it, the taxpayer debt is 3 times of citizen debt.
It's 3.12 times. So yes, and this kind of goes. When you start looking at the history of what they've done since 1933, it starts very slow. and it's very methodical, and it's a very interesting pattern in the way they hit everything. And the first thing that they did was, in using the Great Depression in 1935, they came out with the Social Security Act. And now many people call the Social Security a Ponzi scheme. It's not a Ponzi scheme. But what it does is it takes from the generations that are younger to pay for the generations that are older. And the first payout in Social Security began in 1940. So there wasn't much buildup in the Social Security Trust Fund as people think.
Yeah, they spent on other things, man. They spent it elsewhere.
But you have all of the people that fought in World War II, and then you have the baby boomers after World War II, and all the vets came home. Okay, you had an explosion of wealth in this country. The Great Depression didn't actually end until around 1947. But once it did, okay, the boom kicked in and people were buying houses and jobs were coming available. More and more road projects were being put into play. Infrastructure was being built. Things were being renewed. But at the same time, things were being torn down. We had a show a while back about the railroads. World War II literally wiped the railroads out. And the way it wiped the railroads out was that although it was a very busy time for trains to be running all the war material, the logistics, and the troops, the constant pounding of the rails wore the tracks out and wore the cars out. So by the 1950s, a lot of the Class 1 railroads were broke. And the railroads were so dilapidated that the infrastructure was crumbling. So there were signs already, okay, of what they were doing. And college, through government subsidies, okay, businesses being too big to fail. That's not something that's new and recent. That's something that developed immediately after the Second World War. It started with the railroads. The federal government came in, bailed out a lot of the railroads. And they did it not once or twice. They did it 3 or more times over the course of 30 years. You have Amtrak, creation of the passenger service, you got creation of Conrail, and you have the consolidations that happened before that, which the federal government had to come in and had to subsidize to fix. Tax dollars were flowing into the government. Money was flowing into the coffers of the Social Security system. But the truth is, okay, as early as the 1950s, the Social Security Administration was warning that the number and amount of people that were going to retire versus the number of people who were coming into the system, there would not be enough money.
I want to bring something up real quick, Levi, on that. I want to bring something because we've talked about this. I talked about it with, I believe it was Vince Agnelli in one of our first shows we did on Nights of the Storm. And I'm going to share this. This is a document you can easily find. Go Google search UN document on replacement migration. This is a problem that they saw coming a long time ago. Now, this document dates back to 2000. I think I had another version that was like 1999 or something. But here I'm just going to read the title. I'm not going to go into the document because we're not doing that today. But replacement migration is it a solution to declining and aging populations? And during that report that we did, we had reports that had said that Social Security was going to be insolvent by 2027, which I'm sure it's probably sooner than later now, with people that come in and are drawn on like different programs or whatnot. So to get to my point is when we start talking about, and I don't discount at all that maybe they're bringing people in to set up a false flag, but all this mass migration that was obviously paid for, we've proved that it was paid for. We've proved with Surge the Purge, he tracked down the funding, and he proved that we were bringing people in, we were processing them and shipping them around the country. Now, my argument was that this isn't necessarily an army they're building, because they were saying they're military age men. No, they're working age men. That's the thing. They're working age men. So I think that the migration thing that we saw is kind of to not to fix, but to kind of slow down this Social Security problem that you're talking about, where it's going to become insolvent.
Well,
but we're ruining that with AI and data centers, right? We're taking away jobs.
That's right. Yeah, no. But you brought up something that was interesting, okay? Because what you showed with the UN migration is actually an old plan that's even before the United Nations. And it was written, okay, in a book called Pan Europa by Richard von Coudenhove-Kalergi. And this book described the Zionist Synagogue of Satan plan to flood nations with immigrants so that there would be interbreeding with the nationals to create people who were mutts and could turn them against national ideology, because Zionism cannot thrive in a nationalistic society. And this is historically shown in what they did to Russia with the Bolshevik Revolution. They did this with Germany at the end, towards the end of World War I, during the 1920s. They were vacated during the period of the NSDAP. And then as soon as Germany lost the Second World War, okay, they came right back. And we've seen it today. They have been flooding Germany with migrants and causing a mixing of the migrants with the Germans, so that the nationality is muddled and Zionism can thrive in Germany. Now, this is not.
I wouldn't.
I'm not.
I wouldn't. Oh, sorry, my throat's. I wouldn't make that assumption that that's what it's about. I think it's more of an economic thing, but it could be. I mean, there could be that philosophy behind it. Let me share this right quick.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this to you, Jason. Okay. What the UN is presenting is what they're presenting on the surface to people. The agenda which they have with it is what's underneath that, what's hidden from the people. That's the difference. Because if you look at it, okay, here in the United States, for example, one of the things that is forcing the Social Security system to collapse is all the immigrants that have come in through an illegal entryway have been given Social Security benefits, and that's money that's coming directly out of the Social Security trust funds, and they have put nothing into it, and they're not even citizens of the United States. They've also been taking advantage of the health programs that are available. Many veterans who are 100% disabled or have retired from the military, they continue on with what's called TRICARE. TRICARE is one of the highest levels of health care that you can get here in the United States. The veterans have earned it because of their service. And these illegal immigrants that have come in have received TRICARE or higher benefit level, yet they have paid nothing into the system. So they're using the immigrants to break our financial system by putting extra pressure on it. And they're causing people, through the words that the political parties are saying, to turn them so that they would support these immigrants coming in the way they have. And this is the whole battle that Donald Trump is fighting, because he wants to have all of these immigrants kicked out. And the interesting thing is, if you look at a map of where ICE activity is happening in the country, and you overlap it, okay, with a red-blue map of Democrats and Republican areas, you will see that ICE is carrying out all their operations in Democratic states and in heavily immigrated cities. It's all part of a collective plan. Trump's trying to stop that, which they're not happy about. And the way he's going about it is creating more of a rift with the American people. And this is why you have so many people that are charging and being annoyed with ICE. It's all part of that plan. And what's at the root of all of this is the money. This all costs money to do. It costs money to bring them in. It costs money to sustain them. It costs money to try to get rid of them. It's all about the money, which goes right back to the leverage that was put on people back in 1933 by Roosevelt against all citizenry for the end of time. So the government has to borrow more money and borrow more money and borrow more money from the Fed, and the Fed is buying more debt and more debt and more debt and more debt. And so they're making more interest, more interest, more interest, more interest. We're being leveraged to death.
Yeah, I do want to say something though. I'm reading the comments and everything. I don't want anyone to think that I'm against someone being a mutt, because I'm a mutt. English.
No, I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
not.
And I don't
These are
want to.
their words, not mine. These are what they
Right.
say
Okay.
that
I
they're going to do.
wanted to
I'm
clarify
not a
that.
racist. I'm not against anybody. I don't have any ill feelings towards anybody.
And
Everybody should be given an equal chance. I don't care about your skin color. I don't care about your culture. I don't care about any of that. That's not why I'm saying this. These people are being used.
that's what I was going to get to. You can't blame the
Okay.
people. It's the
No,
system
I
that
don't
they're
know.
trying to break. Yeah.
That's correct. It's the system that's using these people as pawns. They're caught up in it just as much as we are caught up in it. And it's costing them, because many of them, okay, were taken from their land and were forced to march, forced to enter our country. And many of them are leaving and going back to their homelands, taking all the wealth that they were given back with them. So I don't see the immigrant as the problem. I see the system that's using them as the problem maker.
That's right. That's what I was trying to get to.
And they're trying. What they're doing is they're creating division amongst the people, and not keeping the people allowing the people
Well, that's
to
what
be
I had put
unified
that
on anything.
I had put that comment on screen. I don't know if it's still up here or not, but I think it was Karen said that it was we talk about this now. It's a divide and conquer technique. I think
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fully. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't find the comment. It rolled up. There's a lot of chat going on, but yeah, I don't want us to come off as like we're white supremacists or something, because we definitely are not.
No, absolutely not. I have no problem with anyone coming to our country. I just ask they do it legally, and I don't think that that's a problem.
To jump back to the medical, you were talking about Medicaid, Medicare, stuff like that, and the only reason that stuff is so expensive is because they've forced everybody into this insurance scam because of the medical industry. I remember when I used to go to the doctor's office, my mom, my brother busted open a Coke bottle over my head, one of those thick ones, real thick, from like the 50s or 60s. He busted one over my head, cut my head open pretty good. And she took me, or it was actually my uncle that took me, but she showed up there because she was at work in town there, to a doctor's office. I think she wrote a check for like $25. $25 to get something that today would cost like $7,000 to have done. So not only are we paying for people that come here and not just for people that come here, people that have been here as well. I mean, my kids, my stepkids all have some kind of free for them, Medicare, Medicaid, something like that, because none of them have jobs and they need health care. But what if we didn't have to force everyone through this insurance program because of the medical industry, and people
Well, see
might be able to afford?
what's interesting, okay, is they started with FDR's socialist program of Social Security. From Social Security, they went to easy mortgages. From easy mortgages, they went to credit cards and auto loans for new vehicles. Okay. And the wave of going to college began in the 1950s. And so began the series of debt being built up in the country. And that was the whole model of leveraging our wages, our lives, is built on the premise of debt. The more debt you have, the more leverage there's able to be forced.
That's exactly right. And that's right.
And what the period of 1945 through 1970 did, okay, was it was an explosive period of time for wealth in the country, home ownership in the country, cars. The American dream was a reality for many, many people. Okay. Eisenhower has began to build the interstate system. People were able to travel. People were able to spend their money. People were able to do things. They got used to the lifestyle. People became comfortable. And when they became comfortable and they were acquiring their wealth, the people became enamored by it and they started to build their own little kingdom. And the powers that be knew this was their goal, so that through debt, they would continue to build more and more leverage. Now, during this time frame, the British pound was the world currency. And Great Britain was struggling before World War II, and after World War II, she was on her butt financially, hurting. The issue in Iran, Persia, Iran went very badly for them. They lost their oil rights in Persia, Iran. We discussed all of this. Okay. And so in 1972, several steps were made to put the United States into overdrive in terms of the leverage of the wealth. And the very first thing that was done was in 1972 when Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. Now, what was very, very interesting, that was around 1900, and many people don't know this, okay? Silver used to be what our money was based upon. And there was a great battle between those who wanted silver and those who wanted gold. Okay.
Got some right here.
And
some silver dollars.
And through some chicanery in the politics, okay, gold won out. And from the early 1900s until Nixon, okay, gold was the backing of the US dollar. What's interesting is that in 1934, Roosevelt passed a executive order which banned citizens from owning gold or silver. If they had any in their possession, they were required to turn their gold and silver in, which many Americans did, but many Americans
What
also did
was
not.
it? It was at $32 an ounce or something like that. It was something. I don't know the Tony Arterburn would know this, but yeah, they banned owning gold. You had to turn it in, and they gave you a certain amount of money for it, and then they jacked the price of it up the next day. Like it was ridiculous. So they basically, it's like saying, Levi, you're not allowed to own a house, and I'm gonna give you 100,000 for your house, but then I turn around and then value it at $250,000, and then I sell it. It was just basically a way for the government
The price of gold
was it $32 an ounce or something?
was $20.67
Okay.
$20.67 per troy ounce the day before Franklin Roosevelt's executive order number 6102, which was signed on April 5th of 1933. Okay, I want to correct the date, 1933. Okay, and you're exactly correct. Once they made it ownership, they took time to collect all the gold. Then when they felt they had the lion's share gold, they revalued the gold, increased it in its value, and then they used that to offset the debt.
It's exactly what they're going to be doing with the tokenized stable coins.
That's correct. Okay.
Yeah.
History is going to repeat itself. There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same game plan. And so in 1972, okay, Nixon took us off the gold standard. And what came up of it was known as the petrodollar. And what the petrodollar basically is that the oil producing countries, OPEC, of the Middle East, in exchange for the United States defending them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, providing military resources and construction logistical resources. Okay. The deal was also that the Middle East would be the main refiners of oil that was produced in the United States. That's why today we have no light, sweet Brent crude refineries here. All we have are heavy crude, the garbage, the junk. And so what winds up happening as a result of the petrodollar is we would pump the light sweet crude, sell it to those the Arab OPEC countries at a price. They would refine it. They would ship it back to us, and then we would pay a higher price for the oil. This is why oil prices in the United States have never been low. They cry and cry and cry and scream and scream and scream, okay, that we are so oil rich. We're one of the richest oil countries in the world, okay? But you keep paying so much in terms of gasoline at the pumps. And because of that is we have to send our light sweet crude overseas to be refined and then sent back, and we have to pay for it at a higher price. That, okay, coupled with the federal taxes for gasoline and the state taxes for gasoline, there's more leverage of your wealth.
Now there's a toll charge, right? When you when you go through the strait, you
yes.
gotta pay a toll.
Now, well, U.S. ships are still not allowed to go through the Strait of Hormuz, and any oil tanker that is going to the United States is no longer allowed to go through the Strait of Hormuz. I tried to check and see what kind of shipping is going through the strait right now. From what I can tell, there's very little, if any, going through the Strait of Hormuz right now. And this is going to lead to the problem that we're going to start to face, and very, very soon. It's already started. Okay. So Nixon creates the petrodollar. The Arabs agree to accept the U.S. dollar as the purchasing power, and the United States kicks Great Britain out of the seat of the world currency. The British pound dropped like a rock, and overnight, inflation in Great Britain got upwards to 13, 14%, and by the end of the week, Britons were experiencing close to 20, 25% of inflation. And it took decades for Britain to recover from it. And many say that Britain still hasn't recovered from that. And so that's where the petrodollar has come in. And the petrodollar this is why your money says backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. It doesn't say, backed by gold, by full faith and credit. They tell you right on your money that your money is leveraged by the credit that the United States receives. Nixon also ended, and if we have anybody here in the audience who might remember these, there used to be low denominational dollar bills that were blue in color. And these were known as silver certificates. If you went into a bank with a silver certificate or a gold certificate, you could present that to the bank teller and they would pay you the denomination in silver or in gold. Nixon stopped that. The US dollar could no longer be traded for gold or silver in the banking. It was later under Gerald Ford that people were allowed to start owning gold and silver again. That edict by Roosevelt was overturned. But then we have, the problem of 1973. I was just 3 years old when that happened, but it's the oil embargo from OPEC.
And people need to pay attention. People need to pay attention to this because it's repeating right now.
The OPEC oil embargo centered around the 6-day war in Israel, the 6-day war that unified Jerusalem under, for a lack of better term, Hebrew control, but it was really under the Zionist synagogue of Satan that had been occupying Israel since its inception in 1917 by the Balfour Declaration and then by the UN in November of 47 and then enacting in May of 1948. The Arab nations cut off the fuel supply to the United States because the United States was supporting Israel at the time. And as a result of the oil embargo, many of you may remember this, you could only buy based upon your car license plate, you could buy on odd or even days.
Yep.
Or depending upon your address, you could only buy on a certain day of the week. You were limited to how much you could buy, okay? The key here is during the oil embargo period of the 70s, 4.5 million gallons of oil was withheld by OPEC. And you can see by the history what happened to the United States with the oil embargo. The long lines, no gas, people not able to go to work, people not able to run errands, deliveries not able to be made, the stresses that put on the economy, at the supermarkets, at the stores, all the logistics of the country and how things were operating were affected by the oil embargo. And that at the time was only 4.5 million gallons of oil during the embargo that was withheld.
Can real quick, I'm gonna sidetrack us for a second. Remember when gas prices went really high when Obama was in office? This is around 2010, 11, 12, something like that. I remember because I had to drive from Rolla to Fort Leonard Wood, which is a 45-minute one-way trip, and I had an old F-150, and I was a private, well, an E4. I was a specialist, so I wasn't making the money to pay for that. But at one point, I remember, I don't know if it was a shortage or what the deal was, why our gas prices were so high back then. I really didn't follow politics, but there were multiple gas stations that if you were to get over, like, say, 15 gallons, the pump would shut off and you'd have to re-swipe your card to pump again.
Yes. Yeah,
they,
I do remember those days.
yeah, so they
You
were rationing without saying they were rationing, and it was almost every gas station I went to. If I had run my truck on empty, like if I was just topping it off, I wouldn't notice. But if I ran it on empty, and you know, an old F-150 has a pretty big gas tank, it's probably about 22, 23 gallons or something like that. But I could not fill it up without a pump shutting off on me. And why does it say it needs to restart my PC? Do not restart my PC. Avast free antivirus. What the heck? Yeah, they're messing with me, man. No, but I mean, I remember that was a hassle if I wanted to fill up. If my wife and I wanted to go on a weekend excursion to go back road, and we wanted to make sure the truck was full, so we would take the money and fill up the tank, and I would have to, like, either go to a different gas station or re-swipe the card if it let me re-swipe the card. And I think we're going to get there soon, and that wasn't even anything near.
Even today. And I'm looking at Nostradamus said in the chat that there was a $75 limit on charge cards. Even today,
Okay.
at a lot of gas stations that you go to, if you pay by your debit card or credit card at the pump, I think the limit is usually $100.
Oh, so it might have been the price of the fuel tripping over that amount. Okay, that makes sense.
You could only spend $100 at the pump, and then it would automatically turn off. And to get more, you'd have to swipe the card again to start the counter off. You can get another 100. Okay.
Thanks for that, Nostra. That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to me because I was using my debit card at the time. I didn't have any credit cards. I was using my actual bank card. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
The 1973 oil embargo, okay, that went on for several years, so like 76, 77. And you had the Jimmy Carter years. Well, things went horrible under the Carter administration, and people lost their jobs. It was hard to find jobs. The economy was in shambles. Recession had really hit us hard. Okay. Interest rates. We talked about this earlier. David Knight from the David Knight Show. He talked about when he owned a house back then, he was paying 19% interest. Okay. The peak they're reporting on mortgage rate history. They're saying the highest was 1972 at 1664, and 1982 was the next highest at 16.6%. So those are average. That's the average 30-year fix. So I can see how David Knight could possibly have a 19. Yeah. But interest rates were really, really high, and they didn't come down until beginning in the Reagan administration, and they continue to come down towards the end of it during the Bush years, a little upwards in the beginning of the Bush years after Clinton, and then they fell down, okay, to their lowest point, which was 3.15% in 2021, the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and then they've shot up, and right now their average rate is about 6.27%. So the recovery under Ronald Reagan put more leverage through his trickle-down economics, where the top got all the breaks, and then whatever the top wanted to do towards the people below them in their companies and their jobs, they would allow that to trickle down. That's the basic premise of trickle-down economics.
So I want to throw this by you real quick. The concept that you were throwing out earlier, where they leverage people, you're talking about debt as wealth, or well, debt is, what we have is debt, right? That's our money is debt. If they could spur a great amount of people, a large amount of people to say, okay, I can take out a loan and build a house. Those houses then become part of that pool that they draw from as far as the debt.
That's correct.
And then when people can't buy them and they're foreclosed on, that goes to the bankers, right? It gets resold, whatever, or there's a bailout, which again comes out of the taxpayer's pocket. So I can understand why they play these games. And I forget who it was that had written, one of our founding fathers, I believe, had written that to be careful of the bankers inflating and deflating the currency and basically riding it like a wave and basically stealing your wealth. And that's what we're looking at here.
Everything centers around the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
And the whole job of the Federal Reserve for the Vatican and the Rothschild family is to extort as much money as they can through the control of fractional banking and all the economic pressures that it creates with inflation, through the balancing of debt. They are systematically causing us to build their empire for them, because the more wealth we gain, the more property we gain, the more borrowing we gain, the harder the leverage is on the people. And you're seeing that right now because people are locked into houses they can't afford, cars they can't afford, massive credit card debt that they're paying on, okay? They then turned, okay, to medical. And this is what Obamacare was all about. Obamacare was destroying your ability to choose where you went for your doctor, to choose how you spent your money, and forced you into a system which leveraged your money in the medical field, where they wanted you to go to charge the maximum amount of money towards you. And then on the backside, the federal government, through the Medicare, the Medicaid, and all the insurance policies, through retributions, paybacks, and everything else, would leverage even more against the people through taxation.
I think it's a little more nefarious than that. I think it's a little bit more nefarious than that, Levi. I think that sets up a framework or a structure where, and I'm looking at today with these pandemic scares and this mRNA technology.
Yeah,
I'm
only dealing with this. I'm only dealing with it from the financial sides right now.
Okay, remind me to talk about it on our wrap-up episode, because that's an important thing.
Because yes, it is multi-layered. Okay, they created this system on the medical side as a funnel for what the people were doing with the gain of function. So you're on the money. You're absolutely correct. It's a multi-level thing, but I'm only dealing with the financial aspects right now.
Okay. Can you carry us for a couple minutes? I'm going to go reload my coffee, man.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna mute
Yeah,
my
sure.
camera. I'll be right back here in a bit.
So when you study the history of the United States, you will see that the United States deals with periods of prosperity, deals with panics, deals with recessions, deals with depressions. Okay, the 1873 depression was the biggest depression that they called called the 1873 Great Panic. That was the worst that this country's ever experienced. It made what happened in 1933 look like a teetotaler time. Okay, and then you have the creation of the Fed through these families capturing the United States, and then it took 20 years for them to get the system and all the little kinks worked out to the point that they could put the country in a position where they would create the leverage against all of us. And that's everything since 1933 has been designed. Yes, Sherry, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. They do that cycle with the wars, with the military industrial complex. Okay. Somebody goes to war. The war brings in the bankers because the bankers are the ones that pay for the weaponry. The bankers go to the politicians and say that this country wants to borrow X amount of money for weaponry. The politicians turn around and talk to the MIC, which is the military industrial complex, and they say, okay, this country is asking for the military industrial is asking for these weapons. What can you produce and how much is it going to be? They inflate the price. Congress votes for the money. Congress receives the money. Congress funnels the money over to the military industrial complex. The military industrial complex gets the contracts. They produce the weapons. They also give kickbacks, bribes, and payoffs through campaign contributions and other manners to the politicians. And then the MIC delivers the weaponry to those nations. And the cycle is wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. It's the same thing. Okay. It's very similar with your mortgages, with your loans. You borrow from the bank deals with the Fed deals with the Congress awards the money, the Congress sends more money to the Fed sends the money to the banks, and then you have to pay the interest, and the banks are the ones that prosper. The the Federal Reserve prospers from both ends. The politicians get the kickbacks for what they do. They're using us, folks. They are stealing our wealth at every turn, whether it be taxes, whether it be interest, whether it be fees. They're destroying your wealth, your ability to, and this is why you're feeling it now. When you go food shopping, you notice that when you put your items in the cart and you go and you pay the $400, they ask you for paper or plastic. You say, no, don't bother. I'll just put it in my pocket. Okay.
Well, they're to the point now, and thank you for letting me go get more coffee. I usually have a second cup here, but I didn't have time today to get that. But anyway, what they've done is you've laid out the case where they've basically put everyone in debt. So everything that you're supposed to pay off, they own. And when we get to the tokenization part, now they're taking the potential of wealth from whatever, from the ground, from water.
That's correct.
And that's the next step to keep this thing going. That's what's going to be back in the CBDC. Well, they call it stable coin, but it's basically it's the same thing. It's not exactly a CBDC, but it's
hopefully what you folks are starting to learn is that when you hear Obergruppenführer, Gesundheitsführer Schwab say, you will own nothing and you will like it, we will be taking everything from you. What he means by that is that when the time comes, they will have leveraged everyone into a position. And this is what Jason and I were going to go over on the next show on the spiritual end, that if you have not taken the vaccine, which is what bases the digital currency off of, and you resist the system, you will be locked out. You will not be able
Yeah.
to buy or sell. And so everything that you have, your home, your cars, your possessions, everything that you have will be taken from you. Those who have already taken the vaccine and get their digital ID, they're not escaping anything either. Because what's going to come, and this is where the data centers roll in, because what the data centers are doing, once they get the AI up and running, they're going to be eliminating the higher echelon middle class jobs, the lawyers, the accountants, the financial advisors, teachers, professors, and all the government jobs that can possibly be done by AI. And those people are going to lose their jobs. These are the people who have the lower 100,000 to mid $100,000 jobs. When they lose their jobs, the people of the lower echelon, those who make $75,000 and less, are going to have to try to hold up the burden of the leverage that's been placed upon the people. And even the Keynesian model, when you study it, has pointed this out. And when this happens, the whole system is going to collapse and crash because those who are making $75,000 or less cannot support the weight of the whole entire system. They want the system to crash so that those who do take the digital ID, okay, vaccine-based digital ID, they will give you a UBI, a universal basic income. It will not be enough for you to sustain your lifestyle. You will lose your home. You will lose what you have. It will be taken from you because you can no longer pay for it. And then they will move you into their pre-planned areas. So in the end, they win. They think they win. Okay. But they actually lose.
So
And
Karen,
that'll be on the next show.
Karen asked a pretty good question. Was Karen?
Okay, what's
Not
that?
Karen Carpenter. She's in the chat. What's going on, Karen? Good to see you. Where was it? Oh no, it's Linda. Linda Craig said, "Can we prepay our taxes?" And I have something to say about that real quick, Levi. If I can sidebar us for a minute.
Go ahead.
I thought about that because I told the story on another show. I think it was Nights of the Storm. How my wife went in to get a bottle of water last year. We're in Colorado, and they were held up for like 20-30 minutes because the guy was trying to pay with $100 bill, and they don't carry enough to break 100. And they said, we can only take a card. We can't take $100 bill. And I was like, that's nonsense, blah, blah, blah. They have to take legal tender. It's currency. They have to take it. Well, I get home and I did the research. Come to find out, they don't have to. No business is mandated to take the US dollar. No private business. Now, legal tender, they have to take it in any governmental establishment, right? Like when I go pay my taxes, I can pay it in pennies if I want. So the tax issue is going to be the one that gets everybody, because let's just say that you are outside the system and you own your own home, your cars are paid off, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what happens whenever they won't take cash anymore to register your vehicle, to pay your homeowner, your taxes for your home? You're going to have to get in the system. Otherwise, they're going to come take your stuff. And that's where we're going to get to it at some point. I know that that may not be
Jason,
till down the road.
That I don't know, the thing that I don't know, and I agree with you, the thing that I don't know, okay, usually with governmental services, when you pay more than what you owe to the government cannot, I don't think they can legally hold on to any excess.
Oh, they
They'll
do.
refund you.
Trust me, they do.
Well, no, it's different if you're going to pay a bill and you pay extra and they hold it. And eventually they find out and they give it back to you. What she's referring to is she's going into the taxation office and she's saying, okay, my I'll just use an even $5,000 to make it easy. I have $5,000 property tax. I'd like to give you $25,000 and pay 5 years in advance.
Yeah. But that won't work because they revalue your property.
That's correct. And even if they did take it, you have the problem. Okay, number one, are they going to? They're going to revalue, so it's going to eat into the amount that you pay. And two, okay, honestly, I should say not honestly, but frankly, I don't trust these evil miscreants. You could prepay your taxes and your money could disappear because it was paid the old way and wasn't paid the new way, and they have no obligation to refund you.
Yeah.
This what they're doing is so nefarious, is so wicked and evil. They have been playing all of us for fools. We've been doing their work for them. We've been voting these people in, and they do what they want. And then they come every 2 and 4 years to us. They just give us the sad song. You want this, you want that, you want this, you want that. Okay, I'll give it to you. Everybody votes for them. And then they go and do what they want to do anyway. I live here in the state of Texas. And right now, okay, Donald Trump, Abbott Gregg, and Ken Paxton have absolutely roiled the people of Texas so bad that people who vote red all the time are flipping their votes, and they're going to vote blue by giving the double barrel family finger to Donald Trump. They're angry with him. Okay.
Yeah, that's a real concern.
What they don't realize is that they're being played. This is exactly what they want to do. Because if the Democrats gain Texas, and I believe that they're going to take Texas this fall, if there is even an election, Donald Trump is down now 24 points in the state of Texas. What people don't realize is that they are being beguiled, bewitched, and deceived into doing this as an act of vitriol, not thinking. Because what the Democrats are going to do is they're going to New York, New Jersey, Virginia, California, Oregon, Washington, and Colorado, New Mexico, Texas. They're going to gerrymander just like the Republicans did. They're going to pack the courts just like the Republicans did. And then they're going to lock down Texas so they never lose it again. And they're going to turn. You see all the things that they're doing in Virginia to Virginia.
Well, look at what happened in New York. In New York City, was it Mamdani? He won by pretty much a landslide, didn't he? And that was because of Trump.
Yeah, Mamdani won by a huge margin.
Yeah, huge margin.
And it didn't take him a week before they had buyer's remorse already. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing over there. I'd have to ask Billy about that. How he's doing with his task or whatever. But I just know that what you're talking about people being upset with what's going on, especially when we're seeing stuff at the pump, we're seeing it at the grocery store, we're seeing all this winning that costs us a lot of money. People are just going to go like. It used to be if Trump endorsed somebody, the person would do relatively well. Now I think nobody wants to be endorsed by Trump.
Well, I got a little video. I want to play.
Let me throw it up for you real quick. But yeah, that's just a good case study right there. Is take a look at New York City, how that man won by such a large margin, and nobody really thought he would, but he did. And that's because people are sick of the Trumpenstein project.
I didn't create this video. Okay, there is a particular hand gesture that's given at the end of it, so please excuse that.
It's all right. We're in the foxhole. What happens in the foxhole stays in the foxhole. I got no sound on you, brother. You might have to reshare it and make sure you check that little box that says to share sound. Yeah, I can't hear it.
You can't hear it, Jason?
No, I can't hear it. If you know what, if you drop the link, I'll bring it up in my end. Drop it in our private chat. But yeah, let's ask the chat while you're doing that. What do you guys think in our chat over on Rumble? There's quite a few people in there. Matter of fact, I'll do shout outs real quick and then we'll ask the questions, and you can work on getting that link in the private chat here and I can bring it up. So in the chat, we have Karen Peterson's in there. What's going on, Karen? Ashley, Think Change Repeat is in there. Make sure you check her out. She hosts. She's got her own channel. So if you're going to watch Ashley, watch on her channel if you can. But we do host it on Knights of the Storm channel as well. Linda Craig is in there. What's going on? Bronx Stomper. That's Derek. What an amazing dude. Awesome dude. Harry Hart's in the chat. Nostradamus is in there. Oh, Nostra's gave us some really good suggestions and got us linked up with some good interviews. I appreciate that, Nostra. We always appreciate it. Sherry M2's in the chat. Dustin Helm is there. Name Lad 1234. Smoohaski. iHandy's in there. He's our EMT from Georgia. He's in there. Doc Spoiler. Make sure you check out Doc. We normally put the link for his, what is it? I forget what it is, Telegram or Instagram or whatever it is. On Saturdays, we put that in there. And if you want to do the Saturday night watch alongs, you can get a hold of him to get the invite for that. Hiker Emoji's in there. And then our lovely Lady of Liberty, Karen Carpenter's in there. So question for the chat.
Are you tired
Audie's in there. What's going on, Audi? Audi just did a new episode, and I'm going to check that out after the show, and I'll be on with Audi this week. So that's really cool. But yeah, the question is, do you think that people are going to make a massive turn against Trump and we're going to have like a blue wave across the nation? That's kind of the question. And we have alien evolution.
If there are elections in November, and right now my gut is telling me there will not be, something is going to happen. I don't know yet, but my gut is telling me there won't be, because if he does hold the elections, it's not going to be a blue wave. It's not going to be a blue tsunami. It's going to be a blue polar ice cap melting. Okay. The Republicans are going to get slaughtered. Donald Trump, and now this is how it is here in Texas. I don't know how it is in the other parts of the country, but I believe it's the same mentality. When Trump was going out to the helicopter at the White House, and the reporter asked him, okay, Mr. President, when you're negotiating with Iran, do you take the fiscal difficulties that the American people are dealing with in mind when you're dealing with them? And when he said, no, not at all, I don't care about them, I don't think about them. And then later, when Johnson, the Speaker of the House, whined like a little baby that $174,000 salary of a starting member of the House was not enough to live on, and that you got to cut them a break and let them do insider trading to kind of boost their salary. Okay, those two things are the equivalent of Hillary Clinton's deplorable moment. And people in Texas are so pissed off at Trump for what he said out on the White House lawn that their struggles don't matter to him. People are in tears here. And this is the effect of people coming out from underneath the MAGA witchcraft spell that Trump has had on them. And they're realizing the remorse that they have for voting for him.
We're going to win so much, you may even...
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was going to play automatically. I was throwing it up. Looks like we have audio now, so... No, I'll continue on. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to do that.
I just wanted to go ahead. You can play it because it flows right in.
All right. So, yeah, I haven't seen this yet, so this will be great. Let me mute myself.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win.
What was that, $178 or something like that fuel bill? Guy filling up with diesel?
Yeah, well, the guy's upset because he's pumping diesel.
There's 140.
And it's his bill, the diesel was like $7.80 per gallon for diesel.
We're about
Okay.
five. We're about five here. We're about $4 on the gasoline and about $5 on the diesel. And
We're in the
you have to watch it because those big signs they put on the highway, they've been doing this for years now. That's if you pay in cash. If you pay by card, you can tack on 5 or 10 cents to that. I found that out and doing, traveling across the country. I'm like, what? Why is my fuel bill so high? It's because the price they're advertising on the big billboard at the truck stop that's got the red for the gas and the green for the diesel. That's cash. That's what it costs you if you pay cash. At a lot of these places, some of them they charge you more if you use a card.
This is where I want you to remember what was said about the 1973 oil embargo, which lasted about 3 or 4 years in its effects. And if you were alive back then and you remember what you went through back then, that was because of 4.5 million gallons of oil being taken out of circulation. In the 90 some odd days, 93 or 94 days of Donald Trump's mistake in believing the Zionist synagogue of Satan and following Israel to attack Iran, 20.4 million gallons of oil have been removed from the system.
Yeah.
That's 5 times the amount of oil that was removed from the oil embargo, and that's been done in less than 100 days.
And I want to say something to that real quick, Levi. I just went through this. Next week we're going to get on Nights of the Storm. I'm going to be talking about fake gas, more fakery, because we talked about fake stuff Saturday. We're going to talk about more fake stuff next Saturday. So I have a 4-wheeler, always started right up, runs like a top. Great. The engine was rebuilt before I bought it. It's got a board over motor, so it's a little bit more horsepower, stuff like that. New carburetor, everything's new in it. I've got a lawnmower that's about almost right on 2 years old, so it doesn't have a lot of hours on it. Brand new, pretty much brand new. Anyway, the point is, when I went to visit family recently, I threw the 4-wheeler in the back of the truck. My wife was already there, and I thought it would be nice for JJ to see me arrive with the 4-wheeler because they have property and we could ride around the property on it. And I filled it up. I also filled up a gas can, which was put in my lawnmower when I got home. Well, it was E15. E15 is ethanol 15%. Your E5, E10, the different blends for different times of the year and stuff like that. They upped it to E15, and this goes to the cost of fuel. And by the way, it destroyed both of those things. Like neither one of them would run. And I know you're familiar with it. Karen and Ashley are familiar with it. I talked to them about it. I did drain the fuel out. I purged the carburetors, put raw gas in there, which cost me a little bit more. But I can get that at the Casey's gas station here. They sell raw gas, and it actually has a big sticker on there that says no alcohol, and so you're getting raw gas. They both run like a top now, both of them. So the what I'm trying to get at here is they went to the E15 not because it's a blend that they would be using right now. It's because they're watering down your fuel to artificially keep the price just a little bit lower so people don't get outraged. That's the only reason they've gone to E15. And there's a secondary thing with this. And I know we're not going there tonight. We're not going to the junkyard fires and stuff, but it's also going to destroy the older engines. I had somebody in David Knight chat arguing with me over this, and I linked some articles. This is well known that carbureted vehicles, old vehicles, are just destroyed by ethanol.
If you have a
it's 91. Or is it 2001?
If you have a 2001 or earlier vehicle and you put that E15 gasoline in your vehicle, that ethanol will eat the O-rings. It will eat the valves in the fuel system, and your car will come to a shuddering halt, and you will literally suffer thousands of dollars of repairs if you can even get the parts necessary. Because one of the things that was reported today, is one of the major manufacturers of the parts, aftermarket parts for cars of that time period, filed for bankruptcy protection and is going out of
Wow,
business.
are you serious? Are you serious?
Yes,
You
I'm
need to
very serious.
send me that article if you
I'll
can,
send I'll,
because
I'll send you the data on that.
that's something I
Okay.
should have Eric on to talk about, because
it's all designed to do, folks, because the car dealerships right now are panicking. They've got 2023 models and up sitting on their lot. They can't sell them because they price gouged people to death on them. And now with Congress passing the kill switch and the car that you'll be driving down the road. You just went into the Taco Bell to get some tacos with your girlfriend and quesadillas, what have you, and you're driving along, okay, and you're stopped at a traffic light, all right, and a Taco Bell slips out, and your eyes are watering, and your heart palpitations are going up, okay. You can't breathe. You're choking to death. So the car rolls the windows up, turns the air off, turns the ventilation off, and shuts the car off, and locks you in the vehicle. And you're suffering there because of Taco Bell.
You're killing me.
Now I'm making fun of it.
I know.
Okay.
No. Eric Peters reported on this. The drowsy assistant, whatever, that barks at you if you. I look around. I'm like him. I'm situational awareness. I know who's behind me, to the left and right of me, to the left and right behind me, and I'm constantly checking my mirrors and looking around. The new cars in this 2027 models, which are coming out now, are all mandated to have this technology in them, and they're all able to switch off, as you said. So I'm thinking that this ethanol fuel thing is just, it's like Ashley. Ashley says all the time, function stacking, right? So number one, they're trying to keep the fuel cost a little bit down so people don't get outraged by adding more ethanol to it. And number two, they're going to be destroying those old cars that they can't do that with.
That's correct.
Yep.
And Audi made a comment that said auto sales are going in the toilet. Audi is 100% correct, because people cannot leverage themselves to pay a $900 to $1,400 a month car payment. Okay. Most of your pickup trucks nowadays, just for the base model with no features or anything else like that, you're going to pay $50,000-$60,000 for.
And here's the other thing. We can take a look at the Ford Lightning. I know this is kind of crazy off topic here. The Ford Lightning was losing, even with government subsidies, was losing tons of money per vehicle that they couldn't sell. And where were they getting the making that up? From selling their other vehicles. So the regular gas vehicles, the ones that are still gas, are super hyperinflated because the company has to stay in business. And if they're losing money on one product, they have to make it up on the other product.
So what you have here with the fuel going on right now, number one, they're adding the E15 to try to artificially keep the price down.
Down, yep.
Okay. Number two, all right, the E15 attacks the older vehicles 2001 and earlier. If you put it in, even if you think you're putting premium in, you're just damaging your vehicle.
It's anything that's carbureted, by the way. So I even read in the article I linked to that dude that was arguing with me. It says it is not recommended for equipment, meaning push mowers, riding mowers.
No, you can't.
Anything
use,
carbureted.
You cannot. You can't put E10.
No,
you have to. You can't put E10 in any type of lawn mowing equipment, snow blowers, chainsaws,
yep,
ATVs, snowmobiles, boats, ski-doos, anything. You cannot put that E15 in. It will eat your gaskets alive. And as Jason has already testified, he had problems with a lawnmower and an ATV because he put the E10 or E15 in it, and he experienced it. Now, fortunately for him, no damage occurred. He was able to flush it all out, and now his stuff is back working to normal.
Yeah, I got to it in time. So,
but this whole E15 thing is to take advantage of those people who are mechanically ignorant, and I'm not using that word ignorant in a demeaning way. We are all ignorant about something. I don't know how to build a rocket. I'm ignorant about rocket technology. I don't know how to cook certain things. I'm ignorant on how to cook those certain things. It's just It's just the word. It's nothing to put anybody down. And so what they're going to do is they're just going to do what they normally do. Go put the E15 in their car, and they're going to be sputtering down the road, and their car is going to come to a stop. And then they're going to find out that they've got a $3,000-4,000 bill to replace everything in their system. Okay. And they don't have that money right now because they're trying to decide between food, rent, medicine, or pet food for Fido and Fluffy. I mean, this is all culminating with the leverage. Now,
I would venture to say that the vast majority of Americans don't even know what the E means. They just see regular, mid-grade, and premium, and it's what they're willing to pay for. And it doesn't matter if you get regular, mid-grade, or premium. They could all be E15. You don't know.
Now,
yeah, it's the octane level. Now the octane goes up with the ethanol. It goes up, but like you said, it damages older systems, and even newer systems if they're just older technology, like carbureted instead of fuel injected, because they're just not designed for it. And you can look that up. You can find tons and tons of articles people have written about this. People who have older cars and stuff. You have to kind of go out of your way to get fuel for those older vehicles, those classic vehicles. And then one of the articles I was reading says, don't even try to mix your own fuel for your two-stroke stuff, for like your chainsaw or your dirt bike. Just go buy pre-mixed fuel from Lowe's or something, because that's guaranteed to be raw gas with the proper amount of oil in it, because you got to put oil in for a two-stroke stuff. But anyway, I didn't mean to get us off on that tangent. I could talk cars all freaking day, bro.
Here's what I want to share with you folks right now. And please, this is a warning. Please listen to it. Take it before Father if you're a person of faith, and he will reveal it to you. Today, there started to be an outbreak of diesel shortage in the country. Florida was the first one to be struck. This is a sign, okay, that was located in Fort Myers, Florida. They are out of diesel fuel. And when the customers went in to ask when the diesel would be back, the owners of the station reported that they have been given no time frame for a replacement shipment of diesel. The damage has begun. The last gasoline shipments to the United States left the Strait of Hormuz back on February 28th, before Trump and the military began their military exercises with Israel. It takes approximately 6 to 8 weeks for those ships to reach the United States at the various ports which are able to unload their oil. That put us in about the second week of April. It takes another 2 to 3 weeks to unload all of that oil or gasoline, get it into the refinery, and then disperse it amongst all the distributors. That gave us about the second week of May. And here we are now in the first week of June, and they're starting to run out of diesel fuel. The head of Exxon has already said that come July, there's going to be a problem and gasoline is going to spike. He's expecting gasoline to be over $160 a barrel here in the United States, and he's expecting the average price of just regular unleaded to be over $7 across the board in the United States.
Well, here's the thing: before we're even crying about a lack of gasoline, a diesel shortage means what? Because how do our goods get
okay,
around?
Everything from tractor trailer trucks to UPS trucks,
Trains.
comes via I'm going to get to that. Comes via diesel fuel. Railroads run on diesel fuel. Okay, railroads are responsible for bringing hundreds of thousands of tons of coal to power plants around this country. If the trains aren't rolling, the power stations aren't getting coal. If they're not getting coal, they can't generate power. Do you see how this is multiplying?
The cascading effect.
I,
Yeah.
I do not want to cause a panic. I do not want you to be in fear. Father did not give us a spirit of cowardice, but of power, of love, and of self-control. Recognize what's going on. And I urge you, buy what you can, as much as you can, when you can, of food stores. And when I say food stores, I'm talking about dry food stores, stuff that doesn't require refrigeration, and water, bottled water. Make sure the bottled water that you're getting is from at least a natural spring. Some brands that are out there are just reverse osmosis public water. Toxic. Thank you for playing. But I'm serious, folks, because when the fuel shortage comes, and it's coming, there's going to be panic. And if you thought the toilet paper wars of COVID were a laugh, I guarantee you what's going to happen is not going to be a laugh. And you ladies, if it gets to that time, please, if you have a boyfriend or if you have a spouse, talk to them about going shopping with you. Be safe. Be alert.
Yeah,
Watch
let's talk about
yourselves in
that.
the parking lot.
You mentioned something before to me a couple times. If we do get to a scarcity point, people won't rob the store. What is it you told me that would be, and it makes sense.
The people who are going to want to steal are going to sit out in the parking lot, and they're going to be watching for you to come out of the store with a cart full of paid groceries. They're going to follow you and watch you go to your vehicle. And when you have your back turned to open the trunk or open the port to the back of your vehicle, they're going to come in, pin you in, and they're going to steal your groceries from you, or could possibly even do worse to you and hurting you. When you walk out of the store, look in the parking lot. And if your senses go off that something's not right or something's not safe, go back into the store and get the manager. Tell the manager. And then this way, somebody can escort you to your vehicle, or they can hold your cart until you pull your vehicle up in front of the store where there's plenty of traffic, where plenty of people are. Okay. They're not going to be that bold to hit you while you're in the front of the store as if you were 5, 10, 15 cars deep in an aisleway.
Yeah.
So, folks,
don't be scared, folks, but just think
I'm not
about
trying
it.
to present a picture of fear here, okay?
Yeah.
But please be aware. People are getting desperate. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. Right now, it stands at 39% for people who are 90 days or older on their credit cards. The people have been leveraged to the point where there's no more. There's no more. They can't do nothing anymore.
Well, let's get back on the banking, because that's where we were going with it before I got us off on side tangents, and I'm sorry, I should have just kept my mouth shut.
No, you're fine.
But that's what they have leveraged. They've leveraged everything that you own, all of your debt, your children's debt. They've leveraged it all. So if we move on to the next plan, which is tokenization of assets that haven't even been, like gold that's in the ground that they suspect there's so much gold in this national park, they're going to use that now. They're going to leverage that, and that's going to be to pay off the debt. They're going to be giving mining rights to like China or to some other company. That's what's going to back our fake money, our digital money. That's what's going to back it. Is they have squeezed out every drop of blood from everybody, every American citizen. Every drop of blood is squeezed out of us. So now they have to sell something else. So, just kind of recap, we talked about, let's say housing, for instance, we talked about housing, where they lowered interest rates everybody was given a loan they couldn't afford to buy a house. These houses were created, and these houses went on the ledger to back debt. Now that's not enough, right? That's not even enough. So they have to come up with some other way to back this new currency, this new digital currency, or stable coin, which if you take a look, stable coin is backed by a bunch of other coins. And that's what the Genius Act was, not the Genius, the Clarity Act talks about. We talked about
That's
the Clarity
correct.
Act. The Clarity Act is saying, the federal government can pretty much take over or regulate Bitcoin and other coins, and that is what's going to back the stable coin.
Well,
but yet those are valued in the dollar, so it's just circular.
There's one thing I want to make very clear here, that both Donald Trump and the Congress have openly stated that they don't want digital currency in this country, that they're not going to institute it. They're not going to put it through. In fact, one of the bills they named the anti-digital dollar bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're playing with words though with that, Levi. They're talking we don't want CBDC, but we're going to have a stable coin.
Yes. But what I'm trying to show the people is that they're saying one thing on the surface, but when you get into those bills and you start reading those bills and you read what they're doing, okay, then you find out that the very thing that they say they're not doing, they are doing. And then they're going to pop it on us, and it's going to be too late. It's going to have a little different form than what everybody is anticipating, but the end result is the same thing. In order to utilize these coins or utilize this digital system, it's all vaccine based. That's in all their documentation. It's everything. If you're not fully vaccinated, you're not getting the CBDC. You have to be fully vaccinated with every shot that they offer in order for you to get your digital ID.
And that's why if you take a look at the thumbnail that I used, it has all the different icons, and it ends with the vaccine, and then the arrow goes down to the Bitcoin, which is just an icon for digital money. Yeah.
And what the end result of the CBDC, the no buy sell, will be the great transfer of wealth that will go from everybody's hands into the evil miscreants' hands. And you will own nothing. Even if you are in the system, you will own nothing. You will only have enough to survive. You will only have enough to eat. You will only have a hard bed to lay you down on and to sleep away. But you will work, and you will work hard for us every day. And you will only get enough to survive. That's it. That's what it's all coming down to. Total and complete digital control.
And some people will welcome it. Some people will welcome it because they've made it so difficult to thrive or to survive and thrive. Think of it when you're a child and you couldn't wait to get out of your parents' house so you could be free. You could finally be free, own your own car, go where you want to go. But now, in the last 20, 25 years or so, people don't want to leave their parents' home. They don't want to have that responsibility. So they've made it so difficult to be successful. That people are going to beg for that, for their digital currency, their universal basic income, their little shoebox apartment provided to them, their ride sharing. They have so many credits a month that they can ride here and there within their little 15-minute box. They'll be fine because it takes away any kind of real responsibility and difficulty. And I see that in this generation that's in their 20s right now, that they're perfectly fine sitting at home doing nothing all day, playing video games. They don't want to get a job. Some do. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to generalize here. I'm just saying that I have stepkids in this age group, and I see what they go through, and I understand the challenges they have. I can't afford to support 3 grown adults that have kids of their own now. I can't afford to do that. So I try to help them, but I do understand, and I've talked to all 3 of them about it. I said, I understand how difficult it is because jobs don't pay enough for you to get an apartment. You have to
The
get a
one thing-
roommate or something, you know, like, but they also have to be responsible as well, you know, and kids in
Now,
their 20s. I know how responsible I was in my 20s. Not.
Now, Audie brings up a very interesting point. People won't go for UBI while the politicians somehow keep their millions. We have a unique situation, and this kind of goes over into the spiritual, but we have a unique situation here in the United States because our system is unlike any other system in the world. They have already culled the overwhelming majority of nations in the world in terms of life under socialist dictates. When you go to Europe, if you go to South America, if you go to Australia, if you go to New Zealand, if you go to the Far East, okay, their system is completely and totally different than us. And they know that they have a problem here. Okay. I told Jason, I believe it was earlier today, I wish when I was younger, I had put money in the stocks of the gun manufacturers, because every time the politicians have gone on the seize the gun bandwagon, the purchase of firearms and ammunition and all the accoutrements goes through the roof. And so
Obama was
all
a
the
great gun salesman. Obama.
Yes, he was. So through all the leveraging that they have done through the taxation, through the fees, through the interest, through the mortgage, through the loans, interest, the credit cards, through the medical system, okay? What they've done is they've created a monster, because you have roughly 480 million firearms in the hands of approximately 380 million people. And the ammunition that's in the hands of the American people is more than the 5 top armies in the world. So it's a complete and total realization of what Admiral Yamamoto of the Imperial Japanese Navy said, that invading the United States would be impossible because there's a rifle behind every blade of grass. So they have a problem, because there's not enough police, there's not enough ABC gangs, there's not enough military between all 5 branches, okay, to hit everywhere at once, everyone, without creating resistance. And they may be able to cut off the internet, they may cut off your phones, they may cut off your ability to gain news, but they can't cut off the sound of pow, 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 pow. And word of mouth is going to spread very fast. And with that, okay, resistance is going to spread very fast, and it's going to be a problem. And they know this, and they already have a contingency plan for this. And we're going to get into this when we deal with the data centers, because the data centers is going to be a big reveal on what their plans are. We're also going to talk about on the next show the disappearance of key people in the circle, buying homes in foreign countries and leaving and disappearing and liquidating all of their assets out of the stock market, taking cash and running with it. We have a very unique situation here, and it's going to be dealt with in a very unique way. But I'm going to save that for the spiritual aspect. So in short, folks, when the Rothschilds captured the country in 1913, they had been trying to capture it since 1776, but they finally captured it in 1913. And ever since then, they have been setting up a system, and they eventually got it to the point where they could leverage your earning potential, your actual wages, and all of your property, basically you, and everything that is you. And they continually spend the money to put more economic pressures on you, lying to you, telling you everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is fine.
Awesome.
And yeah, everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome. You're living out a dream. Okay, exactly. Okay. And that's the people fell for it. And now they're starting to wake up to a degree, but it's too late. It's too late.
Well,
These
the
people,
reason, and I just want to remind people, the reason we did this in a series when it comes to the medical, which we use Hantavirus as the placeholder there for that one, because that's what the thing was that no one's talking about anymore. It just magically evaporated, right? Whatever. We'll have something else, measles or mumps or something will come next. But the medical, the war, and then the banking is what ties everything together. And that is the transfer method of our stored labor and our life from us to a handful. I just wanted to throw that back out there to remind people what we're talking about here, because I've gotten us off topic a few times, and I apologize, Levi.
no. There's no problem. The show is, Jason, everything that has been said tonight has been important for everyone to hear. Again, I certainly am not trying to scare anybody, but we have to deal with these things realistically and see it for what it is. Okay, these people hate you. They hate Jason. They hate me. They want us destroyed. But before they destroy us, before they destroy you, they want to take everything from you. Everything that by the sweat of your brow you have worked for. Everything that you have busted knuckles and skinned knees and cracked elbows and you've worked hard on to build, and you enjoyed with your wife, or you enjoyed with your husband, or you enjoyed with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and you worked hard on, and it made you feel good, and you felt satisfied, and you've been trying to make a life for yourself, not bothering anybody, just living your life, trying to raise your kids if you have kids, right? Okay. And they look at you with such disdain and use such terms as cattle.
You know what it
Useless
reminds me of?
eaters.
When I look at what's going on in the big, 10,000-mile view looking down at what's going on, it reminds me of what you picture when you think about the Egyptians and the pyramids. You had a couple people with their cats, don't hate on cats. I love cats, but you have a couple people that do absolutely nothing all day but be fed fruit and get fanned with the fan and spend time in their tubs. And they're doing it off the backs of the people out there wearing basically a loincloth, and they're smashing mud into straw to make bricks to build these monuments to these people. That's what we're living through today. Nothing's changed. They're stealing all of our labor so that they don't have to work. And when I say they, the they has grown. There's more and more of they out there. It's not just the Pharaoh and his immediate family. It's a whole bunch of families now. There are a couple key ones. I'm sure you would agree, Levi, but there's people out there like Elon Musk. What has Elon Musk ever done in his life to be the world's richest man? Does he ever sweat? Has he ever done anything? Has he produced anything? No, he pays people to produce things, but he gets the money from you through the government.
Elon von Braun.
Okay, let's go there. Let's go there.
Elon,
give me a second. Can you talk for a moment? I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah,
okay.
I can talk. Do you want me to talk about something else before I get into, because I don't want you
to
go
wherever you want to go with it, bro. I'm just gonna step out of the room for a sec.
Elon von Braun. Okay, Elon Musk. All right. I call him Elon von Braun because back in 1952, Werner von Braun, who was a German NSDAP SS Obergruppenführer, which is the rank of major, he developed Germany's rocket technology from knowledge that was given to him by the Deutsches Vril the group of witches in Germany who had put them in contact with the fallen angels. And after World War II, von Braun came to the United States and they incorporated him into NASA. And NASA is von Braun's brainchild. Well, in 1952, von Braun wrote his book, and inside his book, he wrote of a character by the name of Elon. And that Elon was a man who was going to take humanity to Mars. You can't make this stuff up. Elon's parents were heavily involved in witchcraft. At a very, very young age, Elon would be in his room and he would have communication with fallen angels directly in his room. His mother has testified on numerous accounts that she would go hear him talking to someone. She'd open the door and she would see the entities in the room with him having conversations. He would have drawings that were done for him, given to him, of technology and things that didn't make sense to her. But Elon became an agent of the evil one at a very, very young age. And I'm quite certain that a covenant was made between Elon and the evil one, because all the telltale signs are there of making that covenant. And part of that covenant was that Elon would be given tons of money, the prosperity. He would have the prowess, the influence, and he would have the power, the strength. And this technology of Skynet and Starlink, which are fallen angel technology, you remember that it was spoken of in the Terminator movies. Predictive programming. And Elon talks a great game, but he does not care about anyone. He doesn't care about anyone but himself and the notoriety that he can gain for himself. And he has created Starlink and Starnet, okay, for the purposes of these evil miscreants. They have involved him within the circles, okay? And now that they've got the technology from him, because of certain things that he's done and said, they've kind of kicked him to the curb and not gotten rid of him, but they've told him to remain silent. You don't see much of Elon Musk anymore.
That is right. He has kind of like
disappeared.
Yeah, he has.
Same like he
was on
just
my
like Fauci.
feed like 24/7. Like 5 out of 6 posts were from Elon for the longest time. Even though I blocked him, I was still getting his stuff. And I want to thank real quick while I'm talking here. Thanks for letting me step out. I had to go say goodnight to JJ.
No, you're fine.
But I want to say hi to Greg Talents in the chat, and then Skunk Hollow Rose Gardens came in and gifted a subscription. So thank you for that, Skunk. I think Karen might have got it. I'm not sure. It kind of randomly assigns it. No, Karen Peterson ended up with that. It's kind of like a lotto. So anyway, I'm done interrupting.
No, that's fine. Yes, for Elon's technology, yes, he has been made a very, very wealthy man, but he has also lost a lot of money as well, and he's disappeared. He's still out there, but he's not in the limelight right now. He's held off.
Yeah, I've noticed that he has fallen off. Yeah.
Okay. And because his job, his duty is done. He provided them with the system that they needed. The Starlink and the Skynet, which plays into the data centers.
Exactly.
which we will talk about next on the next show. Okay.
I wonder if one of the ladies would come on with us to talk about that. I'll hit them offline to see if they have time. It won't be for a couple weeks, but these data centers are what culminates everything. And then I was watching Sons of Liberty at 5:00 this morning. Don't really watch that show that often because it's too early, but they were talking about a transatlantic fiber optic cable. And I hate to tell them and other people that landlines are a thing of the past. Starlink is to connect these data centers with wireless and even 5G tower, anything that's terrestrial. They're not going to rely on it.
You cannot get a landline anymore.
Well, I'm saying like physical copper, fiber, even towers, point-to-point radio, like I used to work in my first time in the Army was point-to-point towers, parabolic dishes. You see the little round things on the towers, and 5G, 6G. That's all. The 5G, 6G stuff is going to be used to monitor movement, to monitor people. But the data centers, in my opinion, and I think this is where we all see it going, that Starlink is not for your internet. Starlink is to have an untouchable backbone. We call it a backbone in the commo world, right? And that's where your data travels, the backbone. It's to create a backbone that you or I or nobody else can sabotage, and that will be sold and protected under the guise of national security. Because
it's the spine of the system. It's literally the spine of the system.
Well,
and
I'm gonna give a heads up to everybody real quick. Let me finish my thought, Levi, and then you can take over. Our AI and data centers and the Starlink backbone that connects those will be considered a public utility and will be protected under the guise of national security. So this is where I see it going, and we won't be able to shut it down. We have a lot of stories right now where people are fighting back to push. They don't want these in their neighborhoods. They don't want them in the rural areas. They don't want them near their rivers for the water. And they are literally pushing back against the people who live in the community. They own the community. It's their community. And they're saying, no, we don't want it in droves, but they're overruling the people. And that's only going to happen for so long before there's a massive pushback. But if it becomes federalized, which there's legislation talking about AI and data centers, and this is our new industrial revolution is going to be, the industry is not going to be producing cars or anything like that. It's going to be producing information.
There's
going to be, you see where I'm going with it.
There's a narrative that's building right now. Okay. The FBI has come out and they are now saying that they see all AI criticism to be domestic terrorism. So if you speak out against AI, if you speak anything against the data centers, if you fight the data centers, if you try to educate people about the data centers, then the FBI knows about it. You're going to start being monitored, watched, and investigated, and could possibly be charged as a domestic terrorism. This shows the length that these evil miscreants are willing to go to protect what they want to happen. And, I'm just going to tease a little bit here, okay, on the data centers, all right? Data centers are being built all around the world. 45% of the world's data centers are located here in the United States. Virginia leads at over 663 data centers. Texas is right behind her as the second highest in the country. The United States accounts for 4.2% of the overall population of the world. Their numbers. Yet 45% of the data centers are being built here. And the reason why they're being built here is because the political structure is such that these evil miscreants have captured the federal, the state, the local, executive, legislative, and judiciary branches. And at each level, all the alphabet gangs, they control it all. They make the laws, they create the loopholes hidden in the laws, and this is what is allowing all these data centers to be built. You know that there's money exchanging hands. You know that there's swindling going on at the local level. How can, like in Georgia, how can 8,000 people show up to a district?
I was watching that today, actually.
And voice their opinion professionally, but loudly, that they are against these data centers. And in one town, they've exercised eminent domain against a farmer because he refused to allow the power company to build the power lines on his land to feed the power, the data center. So the power company just took his land under eminent domain.
Yep.
And the people are angry, they're upset, and the politicians are hearing them. But then they go behind closed doors and they vote for it anyway. There was this, you can see these on YouTube, Salt Lake City in Utah. They are planning on building a 62 square mile.
That's insane.
62 miles long, 62 miles wide. Over three times the size of Manhattan Island, and more than half the size of Salt Lake City itself. A data center. The whole state of Utah uses 4 kilowatt hours a month. That data center will eat up 11 kilowatts per hour by itself. And Utah is having an issue supplying the people as it is. Where are they going to come up with 4 times the amount of power necessary to run the state and the data center?
They're going to go nuclear. Deep Fission is a company where they're going to drop these things a mile underground.
Yeah, they've been talking about that, and there's a word that they've come out with, a new cold fission reactor. That word is starting to come out with that too. But it's still, there's also the issue of water, which we're going to get into. But folks, the reason why they're building all these data centers here is because even though data centers are being built in other parts of the world, their country's laws will not dictate and allow them to build what they're building here.
That's what I was watching this morning on the Sons of Liberty podcast, which I've only seen a few episodes of. That seems to be okay. But he was interviewing a lady, and she was talking about extra. What was the word she used? Not extrajudicial, but extra. So it's where somebody, the federal, can come in and dictate what happens in a county. And the laws, if you've been paying attention when it comes to these AI and data centers, the laws have been passed in such a way they've been slid through, and no one's paying attention to where it allows them to usurp that authority. It's like it wasn't stopped because no one was paying attention. It wasn't on anybody's radar. And the United States is the place to put them, because this is where we have our laws written in such a manner at the federal level where they can declare something to be an emergency. They can declare it to be a critical infrastructure. They can use national security, et cetera, to protect those assets. And that is the new industry that they're building. When Klaus talks about the 4th industrial revolution, it's not industrial, it's digital. It's a digital revolution. That's the new industry. So we're done building stuff. You can't even make a sweater in the United States anymore without some kind of outside from another country, like a part or a piece or something being done. There's nothing you can build in the United States strictly within the United States anymore, unless you're running a small business like Full Armor Farms, right? We had him on, cool dude. He can grow his own beef, his own cattle, and sell that. He can make his own syrup and sell that. But I mean, it begs the question: is he getting the bottles from someplace? And do the bottles come from China? Do the bottles come from Canada? It's so complicated now. So this is where they're going. They're going to information.
The Utah Council had a very vehemently strong discussion about the approval for the zoning of that center, that 62 square mile center. The day after, they listened to everybody, and then they went into closed session and they voted for it anyway, unanimously. Well, the day after, and I'll see if I have the video or I can find the video, one of the council members came on and did a short video crying because he and his family have been receiving death threats and all sorts of other things because of their vote. And he basically pleaded and said, we don't have the power to stop this. We were told to pass this. We couldn't stop it even if we wanted to. And he was upset because he has 2 police cars now outside his home because he's receiving threats from people regarding these data centers. Okay.
Real quick, Levi, what I'm sharing on screen for those watching is what Handy has shared with us. This is opengridworks.com. And I have all the layers turned off, but you could see all kinds of stuff, but they do include data centers. So if you want to check it out, folks, if you're listening on audio, go online, go to opengridworks.com. You could look at where solar is, wind, offshore wind. It's filterable. So I just wanted to share what I had up on screen, Levi. That's all.
No, that's okay. I appreciate that. Very, very valuable source. These data centers are not being built for us, folks. These data centers are being built for very nefarious reasons on multiple levels. And there's a purpose and a reason why they're being built in drought-stricken areas of the United States. And that's all going to come out in our next show when we talk about it. It's disgusting what they're doing, and it's impossible to stop. There are going to be little victories here and there, but the overwhelming majority, when they want to put a data center in, they're going to put it in, and there's nothing you can do about it. And people are reporting health issues, the hum, the electromagnetic field, okay, the light, and everybody's property values around these data centers are tanking. Honestly, if you live in an area where they're thinking about putting a data center and they come and they offer you money for your property and your house, do yourself a favor. Do not, and then don't take this as if I support it, but don't sit there and think that this is my house and I can fight these people and win. You can't. And if you get your house there and it's next to a data center, they're gonna steal your equity one way or the other. They're gonna steal what you have one way or the other. And you're not going to be able to sell your house because a lot of people have done that, and they're paying the price now because now they have houses and they can't sell them because nobody wants to live next to the data center.
Yeah, Karen Carpenter's done a lot of good reporting on that. And yeah, by the time people have had enough and their health is affected and their sleep, because sleep is a big part of your health. If you can't sleep because of the vibration and the hum and the noise, the light pollution as well, your health is going to suffer for it. But by the time they finally say enough is enough and want to get out, they're going to get, a drop in value of their home, like you said. So I guess you're trying to say get out while the getting's good if you can,
Yeah. Honestly. Okay. Yes. And not because I'm in agreement with it. I'm saying that because you can't fight it. You're not going to win. The courts are stacked against you. The laws are stacked against you. You don't have the money to fight these people in court. You don't have the money necessary to fight the eminent domain claims. You don't even probably have the money to turn around and hire an attorney who is well versed in these laws, who could possibly even give you a victory. So what I'm saying to you is, if you live in an area where they're going to build a data center, think long and hard before you take a hard stand and die on that hill. Because either way, they're going to win. It's meant to happen that way. So that's about what I have for tonight, Jason. I don't want to get too much into the data center stuff, because that's a whole
that's going to
big
be the
conversation to do.
recap. That's going to be how it all ties in, because the data centers, I'm supposed to go on with Guard sometime this week to talk about AI, the use of AI as a tool.
Yeah.
And these AI centers, trust me when I tell you, all these AI and data centers are not going up to store your pictures. I know some of them are. Historic.
No,
they're not going up to make cat videos, digital cat videos.
Actually, not that I'm I'm no Bernie Sanders supporter, okay? But Bernie Sanders did give a very, very important speech, which reveals a lot about the AI.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. I heard a little bit about this morning, so go ahead and let's talk about it.
Okay. The AI centers that they're building are not for Chat GPT or for Alexa or Gemini or any of the other TikTok or anything like that. No, these data centers, they are collecting the work of artists, musicians, writers, periodicals, okay, our history, your history, okay, gaining the knowledge and understanding of everything. They're stealing it. They're not paying the artists. They're not paying the authors. They're not paying anybody for the material. They're stealing it. And it's all used on multiple levels. One, so that once they get all the knowledge collected, they're able to change the narrative to pervert the knowledge into what they want you to think, what they want you to know, what they want you to mimic and speak, believe. On another level, okay, it's to develop dossiers on each and every individual that's on the planet. Everything that you have spoken in a phone conversation, a text message, an email, every photo that you've exchanged, every website you've visited, every video you've looked at, every music video or song that you've listened to, everything that you have done on a digital footprint is recorded and stocked in a dossier for you.
Well, that's where I was, and I don't want to spoil it, but this was the medical, the war, and the banking. And that is those are the three key things. So the medical side, I know that's kind of a little bit of an outlier.
The medical is going in there. The financials are going in there.
Well, they're going to use AI to design mRNA per person. And that was part of was it the Stargate program? I can't remember. Was it, I forget the program that Trump and Elon worked on together, where they're going to, design this medication with AI that's going to be custom tailored to your DNA. But you know what? Don't believe Mr. Barker when I tell you that mRNA is designed as gene therapy. Don't believe your lying eyes when you read that that's what CRISPR technology is for, and the only purpose for it is to alter DNA. Don't believe me. Don't believe what you read. It's all hooey fooey. But that's what it is. So the AI and data centers are not to store your pictures from your iPhone.
No.
It's not. I mean, these data centers are being used for that. That, don't get me wrong. They're selling web services and stuff like that. But in the vast amount that they're putting in, just a massive amount, is unnecessary.
There
It's
are
unnecessary.
there are data centers out there, like Amazon owns a data center.
Yeah. Amazon Web Services have lots of.
Walmart owns a data centers. Okay, Target owns data centers, and any of the major retailers own their own data centers, and these data centers are being used to collect your financial data, what you browse on their website online, what you put on your wish lists, what you put in your carts and do not purchase, what you take out of your cart, what you purchase in your cart, what credit card did you use it with, what bank did you access it to, did you pay by PayPal, did you pay by Venmo, did you do Cash App, how did you pay for it? Everything that you do through digital is being recorded. And what's happening is the AI centers that for these companies, Amazon, Walmart, and the others, they're collecting this data on each of us. They're processing that data, and what their AI does is it finds patterns. It finds what you buy, how much you buy, how frequently you buy.
Let me tell you something real quick, Levi. I read about this a couple of years ago. They already have that information on us. And Google proved this because Google was trying to sell a service. And I believe they tested it in Walmart or one of the big box retailers, where, you know how they have the digital screens now that run ads on them in some of the, more modern big box stores. They'll have like digital signage. It was using facial recognition, or it was either doing that or pinging your phone, so it knew who was walking by the screen, and they would throw ads up based off of your search history on Google. So it was an advertising thing, and they ended up not launching it. And I wish I would have saved this article. It was a fascinating article, but it was getting people in trouble because sometimes, the husband's search history isn't exactly what the wife's search history would be, and as they walk by, you get ads for something like lingerie or something like that. And the wife's like, what? Because now she knows that he's been looking at whatever online. Maybe he's got a girlfriend or whatever. So they kind of did away with that. But the point is that this was a couple years ago. I read about this, and they had to kind of curb it because it kind of showed how all of our data was being sold to a third party, a fourth party, a fifth party, in droves, like in mass amounts. And it's going to be used, well, in that case, it was going to be used to advertise to us, but it will be used against us. And going back to the AI and data centers, the massive amount they're putting in is way more than we need for simple stuff like that, like ad tracking. It is going to be used for the medical industry, for war, and for eventually the banking, which is why we're covering these three topics. So,
wow. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to address something in the chat that I saw.
Yeah, go ahead,
okay.
man.
All right. These evil miscreants have been working on the mRNA since the discovery of Luciferase in the 1950s. Prior to that, in the year 1900, there was a esoteric and a occult doctor named Rudolf Steiner, who spoke of a coming vaccine that will separate the soul and the spirit from God and you as an individual. And the mRNA they have been working on throughout the 60s, the 70s, the patent wars of the 70s and 80s, finally got into the hands of the big pharma companies in the 90s. And then they began to develop it and testing it in the 2000s, refining it and getting it prepared for the COVID situation. Okay. Many of these illnesses, such as HIV, Ebola, SVC, RSV, COVID, okay, all of these have been either created in a bioweapons lab through gain of function or have been mutated in a lab through gain of function in order to create a vaccine for it. I have a list of patents here I'm looking at, okay? There are over 250 patents on HIV alone. The virus, not the vaccine, the virus. You cannot patent something that is naturally occurring. So that tells you right there that the AIDS was used as a gain of function and it was experimented with alive on human beings. And it's come at a terrible, terrible, terrible cost to people. And when we get into it on the spiritual end of it, you'll understand what they're doing because almost every vaccine that's out there now is mRNA CRISPR Cas9 technology. Ozempic is CRISPR Cas9 mRNA. Your diabetes insulin shots, mRNA. Your cat, your dog, and your pets, saRNA. Okay. They're putting it in the chickens through the avian flu. They're putting it in the swine flu. They're putting the mRNA CRISPR technology in the ticks and in the mosquitoes. They're putting the CRISPR technology, the mRNA CRISPR technology in the farm-produced fish. They are trying, hook or by crook, to get this stuff in you, to change your DNA, which is the position of power and authority in your body, the signature of God itself. Every living creature that Father has created, his signature is in the DNA. And they're trying to change it and make it something that it never was. And
Well, a lot of it has to come down to, and I know you had covered the patenting of things.
yes,
It comes down to you can't patent something in nature. I've read tons about that. So, like, I can make aspirin. What is it, willow bark or something like that you make natural aspirin?
Actually, aspirin is naturally made. Willow bark, sarsaparilla, and some other things. But I looked into that the other day because I was curious because I
But you can't patent it. I can't make aspirin and patent it.
No,
but I can
cannot.
make a pharmaceutical that does the same thing that aspirin does. And if I get a patent on it, then I can lease it out or, royalties or whatever. I can have other people who can make it, or I can sell it myself. And it's all about the money. So some people, in my opinion, not to contradict you here about trying to change DNA or anything, I think some people are in it just for the money and they don't even think about the consequences.
I agree with
what
that.
it may do. Yeah, but
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
There are people in it that there are people in the chain of command in dealing with this mRNA CRISPR Cas9 technology that they are just told to administer it.
Yeah.
And that's it. They haven't been told what the uppers know. This is where spiritual ignorance is dealing a deadly blow to so many people. Because you do have people who know what this is. There are people who don't know what this is, and they don't realize what they're doing to people. And it's getting more and more difficult to food shop.
Yeah. So
Not only from the prospect of the bioengineered GMO and the mRNA getting in the food, but just going to the store and touching the carts. Now, you notice that they removed all the hand sanitizers stations away from your shopping carts? No more wipes, no more spray, no
we
more
put all
nothing.
that money into it and COVID and plexiglass. Now here's a question I have for you. I want your thoughts on it. And this will be my last interjection here. I know I promised I wasn't going to interrupt you too much tonight, and I just
No,
can't.
you're fine. You're
So-
fine.
So
Go ahead.
I absolutely 100% know, and I don't care what people say. I've read the doggone documentation. I've listened to professionals that have done this stuff for 40 years. If you get injected with mRNA, there is a risk of your DNA being changed. I hate to tell you, that's just a fact. That is a freaking fact, and you could call me a liar if you want, but you know what? You just haven't done your research. It's called reverse transcription.
It doesn't. It's not that it might change your DNA. It does change your DNA.
I mean, they said it wouldn't. It wasn't intended to, but whether it was intentional or not,
that's a bold-faced lie.
yeah, I don't want to go there.
Not from you. Not from you. I'm not saying you, but that what they said, and that was all part of the deception. That was all part of the deception. And now, okay, you can see it, because if you pay attention, they're doing the things with the track of the patents. You can see them taking it, creating the problem through gain of function, making it susceptible to receive the mRNA CRISPR-Cas9 technology vaccine to cure it. Then they create the vaccine, get the patent for that. Then they introduce the problem, the virus that they did gain of function on, and they already are producing. Because you have to remember something: when you apply for a patent from the U.S. Patent Office, you have to have the product already. You don't get a patent for turning in a set of plans.
Like a working model.
You have to present a working model to the patent office.
Yeah.
So they have it already.
Well, let me finish my thought real quick before you continue. So I know that if you're injected with an mRNA vaccine, that runs the risk, if not either accidental or intentional. And this isn't coming from an engineer and a communications expert that also was a line cook. Okay. This is coming from people who've practiced surgeon generals and stuff like that of various states and other doctors that are accredited. That it runs the risk of changing your DNA. Now, where I do have a question, this is where I wanted your opinion, because I don't know the answer to this question. If they say genetically engineer a chicken, let's just say that they vaccinate a chicken. I do know that they're making foods, that they're genetically engineering foods that will vaccinate you the same as getting a shot, which to me is just as dangerous. But if I eat a GMO food that was done with CRISPR technology, what does that actually do? Is that going to change my DNA? I don't think it will.
It does. This is why eating chicken just off the shelves in the stores is so dangerous, because, and I have the email from Foster's Chicken, because I used to go to Costco all the time and I would buy Foster's chicken wings, the buffalo wings, or in either the regular buffalo flavor or in the chipotle flavor. I really enjoyed them. But I emailed them to find out if they were inoculating their chickens with the avian flu vaccine, which is
mRNA, yeah.
mRNA CRISPR-Cas9 technology. And the response that I got back from Foster's told me that they were. And the whole design of the vaccinating the chicken, vaccinating the pork, vaccinating the farm fresh fish is that when you eat
And
them,
the cattle is
become
coming
vaccine-
soon, by the way. The
you-
cattle's coming very
yeah.
soon.
with the cattle, they have been trying to make an mRNA vaccine for the cattle. The problem is they give the vaccine to the cattle, and the cattle die within hours.
That's what got us kicked off YouTube right there. We reported on that. It was they were testing this a couple years ago in Australia.
That's right. So now what they've done is they've changed the focus, and what they're doing is they're creating mRNA CRISPR-Cas9 grain.
Yes, the food.
The cows are eating the vaccinated grain. And what they have found in testing is the cows are able to stomach the grain, digest the grain, and then the mRNA flows through the body, the muscle of the animal, and they have found a way to vaccinate the cows
I would love
via
to
the grain.
if Bronx Stomper's still in the chat, I'd love to ask him because he does deals with the cattle as well. But they really could just not vaccinate him until slaughter. And I think it's only like, was it 32 hours or I forget. We had Texas Slim on and he talked about this. Like, I thought it was a dangerous amount of time that they homogenize the beef, if you will. All the independent sellers bring their cattle to the stockyard or whatever, and they get auctioned off or sold, and then they vaccinate all the cattle. And then they're allowed to sell them within a very short period of time, which I found amazing because, that's crazy. It's still floating around their system. It's going to be in their blood, which is why do you think a steak is pink in the middle? That's blood, right?
Well, no, actually, it's not. It's not blood that comes out when you cook a steak rare. It's not blood that comes out. It's the collagen inside the meat that's coming out.
It's still going to be in there.
It's not blood. It's not. All the blood is drained out of the cow. Your Bronx Stomper, I guess, can confirm that it's not the blood.
Yeah, I'll have to get with him on that. I'd love to get him back on. He was a great guest.
Yes, once the mRNA enters into you and changes your DNA, it cannot be changed back. You cannot get rid of the mRNA out of your system. You cannot. And so if you see anybody trying to sell pills to detox you from mRNA and restore your DNA, it can't be done.
I think the only thing that we can do is, and Dr. LaGuardia, very smart dude, if the spike protein is causing you coagulation or clotting problems, there's a ways to deal with the spike protein.
Yes,
but yeah, you can't change your DNA back.
Once the Luciferase and the Chimera have cut and spliced, you can't undo that. That's
and I want people to understand when I say this changes your DNA, I'm not saying that every cell in your body's DNA has changed immediately. That's not what I'm saying. Wherever that stuff has penetrated to get in to produce more spike protein, those cells run the risk of being changed. And when they divide and become new cells, you've got double the pleasure, right? Double mint gum. And so it's just a matter. I mean, think of cancer. Cancer, it's a naturally occurring thing that we're talking about right now. There's a mistake, a replication mistake, and Handy put it in chat earlier. He said anything that could be copied could be mistaked or whatever. That's what cancer is. Your cell that, let's just say it's a kidney cell, and the kidney cell is supposed to make 2 more kidney cells, but then one of them has a mistake in the copying. That's a reverse transcription thing. That's what, stupid Jason Barker doesn't know what he's talking about, but this is how it happens. It becomes a non-functional cell. And if that non-functional cell doesn't die off and go away and continues to divide, it becomes a tumor and it becomes cancer.
But see, this is where people get it wrong. Okay. When the body develops cancer, which is a broken DNA.
Yes.
That is naturally occurring. That happens as a result. Well, and this is where the spiritual comes out. regardless of what people think, it's because of sin, curse, and death entering into the world. Okay? It's part of that realm. Okay? Your body, once you reach 18 to through about 24, then it starts, okay, to die. And you're on a slow death roll, okay, until the day of your reckoning comes. Okay? What the mRNA technology does is it specifically seeks out your DNA. The luciferase cuts the peptide bond between the two strands intentionally. The luciferase connects on either side of the strand, the stub of the peptide bond, and the chimera plugs in between the two luciferase, recreating the circuit. And what's inside the chimera is a payload package. Some of it's myocarditis, some of it's cancer, some of it's this, some of it's that. They have a whole, remember on the previous show, we showed this whole list of things that were inside the Pfizer mRNA vaccine that you could possibly break out with. And now you understand, okay, why the nanotechnology was included, the metal graphene was included in with the shot, and why we were under lockdown. All the cell companies were putting up 5G cell towers like mad. When the cat's away, the mice played. And that's because
Who installed the towers? How come those people weren't at home locked down?
exactly. It's
Right.
exactly. And this is part of the problem, because those who have the vaccine in them, number one, under federal law, approved by the United States Supreme Court, you are now the intellectual property.
So
the
let's pause
pharmaceutical
that right there. I
companies.
don't want to make that claim,
Okay.
Levi. Let's pause that for next time where you can bring
The
something that
documentation.
shows that. Yeah, I
Okay,
don't want to make
yes,
that claim without.
No problem.
yeah.
Okay, that's no
All
problem.
due respect, I
I'll
just
be-
don't want to make
no,
that.
no. I'll
Yeah.
bring that. But it has, when you read the patent, you'll understand that you have an individual serial number inside the vaccine. That's your lot that you received. You have an IP address
So
in
let
that
me
technology and a Bluetooth
let me
signal.
ask you a question though, because you mentioned this to me before, and I wanted to ask you this on the phone. If I have a vial that has, say, 5 doses in it, and so I give that to 5 different people, how do they differentiate if there's a serial number involved or whatever? I mean, how does that work? But we'll talk about that next time. I don't want to get too much into the vaccine stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
okay.
getting kind of like, because some of this is kind of like what we know and what we think we know. And I do know though about the reverse transcription, though. I didn't even really want to bring that up, but I did. Stupid me. About and the cancer relation. And I actually don't think, I kind of disagree with you on one point where you're talking about how precise this stuff works. I think that it's so imprecise, and it's kind of like David Knight says, he's like, it's more like a chainsaw and not a scalpel. I think that what we're seeing with the turbo cancers and all this other stuff is because they didn't get it right 100%.
Oh
So
no,
we're seeing,
but okay. I'll bring the information, but it is that
okay.
precise. Okay.
Yeah, please do. I'd like to learn more.
That chimera, and you can read this in the patent. Okay. You can read this in the patent. The chimera aspect that's in that vaccine contains the programming code of all different viruses and illnesses. It's a programming code. Okay. A codex. Not everybody got the same codex. Some got myocarditis, some got cancer, some got other things. Okay. And so when the peptide bonds between the two strands is broken, the Luciferase automatically connects to those two strands. And the chimera slips in between. And just like a computer virus, the chimera downloads the production data into the DNA, and then the DNA starts to produce what that codex was that was released into it. It is precise.
Okay. We can talk about that next time. I got to cut us off because JJ is just freaking out right now. He's got to go to bed and he wants to see his peepaw before he goes to bed. So, oh man, I hate doing this. I hate cutting us off before we're done, but
all right, no problem.
It's a good. I think it's a good stop point. And I did want to say hi to Hemp Car. He came in. He gets his shout out. He's in there crying right now. I have to go give him a hug before he goes to bed.
Okay. Do you want me to do final shout outs while you go do that and come back? Or do you want to just call it?
Yeah, let's just pick it up from here on the. I think we got to where we were going to go. The next one we can cover like tying it all together and get into the AI and data centers and, you know, buy and sell aspect of it and the spiritual aspect of it. Yeah. He is freaking out. I really do need to go. He's freaking out big time right now. I don't know if you can hear it or not in the background.
I can't.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, thank you for having me on. I hope that this was enlightening and entertaining for you. I hope that you learned a lot, and I hope that you understand what they've been doing. Believe me, folks, there's a lot more to it. If Jason and I brought all the data, and if we'd be here for hours revealing everything to you. Okay. And in terms of what they're doing, it's almost impossible for you to know every little intricacy of what they're doing. It's enough that we can see through the documents that they leave behind. They have to leave a paper trail. They do that. You just have to know where to find it, read it, understand it, and you can see it. And if you listen to what these politicians are saying, and you then look at what they do, you can get a pretty good idea of where they're going with things. And I'm sorry that people are being hurt. It breaks my heart that families are being destroyed by this stuff, that families are going through so much tension, so much trouble. Okay. I can just say, turn back to Father. Turn back to the Lord Yeshua and put your faith and trust in Him. Repent of your ways. Cry aloud, spare not. Wail in bitter tears of lamentation. Humble yourself, and the Lord will lift you up.
Amen to that, man. Well, again, I'm going to run through the list. Karen Peterson was in there. Ashley, Think Change Repeat, check her show out. She's featured on the Knights of Storm webpage under the Friends and on the schedule. Linda Craig was in there. Bronx Stomper, Harry Hart, Nostradamus, Sherry M2 was in there. Dustin Helm, Name Lad 1234, Smoohasky, which did a really nice breakdown of the time codes for us on one of our shows. I appreciate that, Smooth. That was cool. Handy was in there contributing a lot. Doc Spoiler. Make sure you check us out on Saturday, Knights of the Storm. We'll pin his contact information, get into his watch along on Saturday nights. Hiker Moju's in there. Karen Carpenter, our lovely Lady of Liberty, soon to start her own show. I can't wait. We're all on bated breath here, waiting for her to start her first show. I know she had planned the first episode, but there were some scheduling conflicts with her first guest, so waiting for that to kick off. Audi MRR, Modern Retro Radio. His radio station is back up and running, by the way. That's modernretroradio.com. Go check it out. He plays the hits from people you know, but maybe they were not played much on the radio. So it's kind of like those side hits, or they have new music in a lot of cases that nobody knows about. So it's a really good radio station. Alien Poop Evolution. Okay, that's going to evolve into something.
Something, yes.
Skunk Hollow Rose Gardens. Check out Skunk Hollow. I don't have a link to his stuff on the Knights of the Storm website, but if you click on him, if you come over to Rumble and you click on his icon in the chat, you'll find his channel. But he shows videos of birds feeding and gardening stuff. He's been had a really good show with Tiger. I love that show. That was a great show. And then we had Greg Talon in there, and then the last was Hemp Card that popped in, and I think I get everybody. He just popped in. Conspiriality, and it says to hit that thumbs up. Thank you for the reminder. Please hit the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, folks. And any final thoughts there, Levi, before I get us out of here? And I hate to rush us out. It's just, JJ, you talked to me enough on the phone.
I just want to say thank you to you, Jason, for allowing me to come on and talk. I hope that everybody found the information that was brought to them interesting, and that I encourage them to do their own research and see what we've brought to the table. Okay, I'm sure you're going to find a lot more. We're in the closing days.
And real quick, Levi, before, I hate to interrupt again, but we didn't throw a lot of stuff on screen today. We like to bring the receipts and show the stuff, but we opted not to do that today. But if people wanted some of this evidence to see for themselves, how can they get a hold of you so you can send them links and stuff?
My email address is right there on the screen. Okay, you can email me. All right. I'm more than happy to share. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. I can send you the data and the information that I have. Okay. I'm open to help anyone who has a question or has a need. So it's not a problem.
Okay, so before we go, thank you, Nostra, for reminding me that we can raid here. I'm going to send the whole group over to Michael Strange's chat for some what's Troubled Minds Radio. He covers all kinds of weird stuff, so some not so serious stuff, or maybe it is serious to you. I don't know, but it'll be a good time, and there's a good chat over there. A lot of good people over there. Sweets is over there. What's going on, Sweets? Can't hear me because you're not watching my show, but whatever. Sweets, the queen of the links. Anyway, we're gonna raid there once we're done, and I guess I'll get us out of here. Levi, what do you think, man?
Works for me.
All right, well, so I guess that does it for tonight. Remember to hold your ground, watch the enemy, improve the foxhole, and always look out for one another. Until next time, God bless.
They're built from the money they stole. We're in the foxhole.